What it do, what the business is, you already know. You already know what's cracking, what's crack-a-lacking, what's good. Yeah, we finna go ahead, get it started, get it in. I'm about to give you some real good information. And this is all in tune with this is the midweek discussion. And this is in tune with the weekly. So the information that I'm about to give you is really about, if you haven't noticed, everything that we've been talking about has still been stemming from this paradigm shift. And it's giving a lot of energetic information on how to attune and get in tune. It's giving a lot of information on how to get in tune. So, abundant rising, wealthy rising, prosperous rising. You know what I'm saying? Hope everybody's having a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, great day, great week, great month, great year. Man, great everything. But most importantly, you are being great. So, man, tap it up. Share. Because this information, like I said, is going to be groundbreaking. And it's going to allow you to really operate in this paradigm shift moving forward. So if y'all can hear me good, man, let me know if you can hear me good. Got music in the background. Let me know if you can hear the music clear. Because like I said, we're about to get it in. So just let me know if everything's checking out. And we're going to get it right in. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get it right in. So if y'all ready, comment ready. And we're going to get it in. Because like I said, if you got time, I got time. I'm not going to take a lot of your time. But this information, I'm not going to speed through it. And at any moment, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to question. If you got any comments you want to add to it, feel free to add any comment. But this is about to be very enlightening. Trust me on that. Ready? No problem. Okay, if people don't remember, great rising, abundant rising, wealthy rising. All right, if people don't remember, the weekly theme was think outside the box. And we was telling the different boxes that you are in. But the main box that we were referring to was the box called mind. That for you to think outside of the box, that has to give a reference that the box is your mind. So you have to think outside of it. Now, when we're talking about thinking outside of your mind, thinking outside of that box in your mind, what does that box consist of? That box in your mind consists of all the experiences that you've had in your life, whether it was taught by yourself or by others. And it's been put in compartments in your mind, so it's different boxes inside the big box of your mind. And that box is limitations that you have placed on yourself. And that's why you live the way you live. You do what you do, and you don't do what you don't. You've preset your limitations based on the parameters you placed on that box in your mind. But what people don't recognize is that box in your mind has no ceiling. So at any given moment, you can get out of that box and start understanding the fullness and the totality of your mind. Because the box really represents order. And I know I didn't say this on the weekly, but I'm going to say it now. That box represents order. And the parameters and the limitations in your mind is the way you order yourself. Now, what people don't recognize is even the chaos in your mind has boundaries. Even the chaos, because I know we're talking about order. Even the chaos, because see, thing about that is if you don't have any boundaries in your mind, if you don't have any, like I said, you may have different compartments in your mind, but you don't have any boundaries. That's why your thoughts can get the best of you. because it's nothing. It's just random stuff going on in here. But even the chaos in your mind is in a box. And the reason I'm saying that is because even though you may act out of those chaotic thoughts, it's certain things you won't act on still. And that's why, if you look at it, that's the real reason for a prison. We still talking about the prison of the mind. That's why there is a physical prison, because there's no border. So now people in their mind is living full in chaos. There's no limitations. There's no borders. There's no boundaries. So now the things that you won't do as far as extreme chaos, these people will, because there's no limits. There's extremely no limits, whether good or bad. Now, the reason why I'm putting it like this is because if you do not have any boundaries to the chaos in your mind, as within, so without, then I got to give you boundaries on the external. Called prison. Called jail. Now, I'm not talking about those, like I said, we're going to go back when we talking about being wrongfully accused and things. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about those who are in like mental psych wards that are actually guilty. I'm talking about real guilty, not just speculation or, for whatever conspiracy. I'm not going into all that. I'm talking about those who truly have no control. And that's the reason why they have no control. Even with mental health issues, there is no mental control because there is no mental boundaries. There is no mental limitations. So the chaos in their mind is running free. So now if there is no order for it in your mind, as within, so without. That's why in the external world, they live without boundaries. They live without boundaries. And don't realize that the chaos that is running free in your mind is stimulating the actions of the chaos that you are creating in your real world. So now, since there is no order or structure or boundaries in your mind, you're not capable of doing that for yourself. I got a place that will help you do that. That's the reason why you have psych wards, mental health chambers, the straitjackets, the prisons, the chains, the shackles, the life sentences, all the death row, all that. That was the reasoning behind that. Because if you're not able to govern yourself, then I have to govern you for you. So now, if you don't know how to control your mind and bring it order, meaning the box, then I got to be the one to put you in a box so I can control you for you, because you don't recognize that you are chaotic, not only to yourself, but to your environment. So now you see why we're going into something real deep. Because if you do not have this understanding about your mind, that's why I said being inside that box and not understanding your mind is a box, whether you have order or chaos. That box is a danger to yourself if you do not recognize that it's there. You gotta recognize that that box is there. Say, let me join your lives. I got you in a second, but I gotta get this out because I got a lot of information. We'll talk about it. If you want to join my lives one day, we can discuss and see what angle you coming from. You know what I'm saying? And we'll take it from there. So if that resonates so far, let me know. Like I said, I'm just giving you a little update about the box, because we was taking that box that it can be boundaries or a mental prison. Whatever the case may be, it's a limit. And you have the authority on how expansive that limitation is or how narrow those limitations is. That's why you have open-minded and narrow-minded. Even if you are open-minded, you still can't go outside the parameters of those limitations that you set based on your own understanding. And by the narrow-mindedness is you constricted your limitations based upon still the level of your understanding. But with the narrow-mindedness, you refuse to expand those limitations. That's all what it means. Going outside the box is you can't really. Man, think great rising, abundant rising, wealthy rising. And see, that's why a lot of people cannot be open-minded. Because think about that. To be closed-minded, meaning that you put, like I said, that box in your mind has no ceiling. But to be closed-minded, you put that ceiling up there yourself. And like I said, to think outside the box is uncomfortable for people who do not understand. So now, to protect themselves, they keep themselves in that box. And that's why I say comfort zone is the reason why you'll never receive the what's due for you or your blessings. Man, great rising, abundant rising. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said for you to start living the life that you were destined to live, you have to do this. Start thinking outside the box. Start thinking outside the box. But like I said, the reason why it's hard for people to think outside the box is two. One, they don't recognize it's a box there. And two, to go outside of that box is uncomfortable to them. So they resort to a sense of security in that comfort. So you realize that you are allowing yourself to be limited in your thinking, which inertly happens into your actions. You know? So if that's making sense so far, let me know. I just had to do just a real recap on the weekly so you can understand why we're going into what we're going into for the midweek. So does it resonate thus far? If anybody have any questions, you know, please feel free to comment, question. This is an open dialogue. It's not just me dictating. So if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know at any time. All right. So now, to go along with this information, man, don't forget tap, share. I know it may be deep. People just trying to, you know, grasp a lot of this. And also, too, if you do not catch all of this, what I'm doing, even though, yes, I am putting clips on my page, to have access to the full video, I'm placing these on my Patreon. So if people want to gain access to go back and have, like I'm telling you, refer to it, you can watch it as many times as you want to. I will put a post to let people know once this is on my Patreon, and you can become a member to where you'll have access to not only this, every live I do, except the tunes and tarot. I'm not putting them up there. But all Zodiac lives that I do, I'll put them on my Patreon. All weekly, midweek, and weekend love lives I do, I'll put it on my Patreon. So you can go back at any time. And if you feel you missed something, bam, you can go back and get it. You can study it if you want to, research however you feel. Now, the membership is just $7.99 a month. And I'm telling you, think about it like this. I'm going to say this before I move on. It's $7.99 a month. And what you will be getting is 2 cycles of moon cycle zodiac readings. And each cycle is 17 lives. So you get right then a minimum of 34 live recordings of information that you can look through any one at your own discretion. Plus, you'll be getting weekly, midweek, and weekend love. And depending on how depending on how the moon cycle readings go, you can at least get those at least 3 times a week. So altogether, you're getting 43 lives of information a month. And I'm talking about not just snippets, the full thing. So once these get posted up, I will let people know once they're posted, and you can go to my Patreon, subscribe, and have access to all full live information. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into it. Before I start giving out information, I always love to give the references. So we're going to be coming from the Kabbalion. I don't know if people have it, but I really do suggest you get this book, the Kabbalion. And the Kabbalion is based off the laws of the universe. Next, I'm going to be coming from the Bible. I'm going to be coming from the Corpus Hermetica. And I really suggest this is another book that you should get. You really should get this book. This is if you really want to think outside the box. Think outside the box. And lastly, what I'm going to be coming from is the Quran. Now, the reason why I'm coming from these different books is because I'm trying to get you to look outside of the limitations, and people really want to limit themselves to religion, not to the knowledge or the wisdom. You limit yourself to the religion, and religion is only something that you practice daily, something that you do religious. That means that is a constant practice. So now with this religion, what you're doing is you've drawn limitations based off of this daily practice. Whether it be Christianity, be Muslim, Islam, whatever you want, whatever sector, Jewish, Catholic, whatever, you have limited yourself to that continuous pattern and practice based off of the parameters of the religion, not off the knowledge, not off the wisdom. If you understand what I'm saying, that means that if your Bible say do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this, that's just the parameters of the religion. That's not the knowledge or wisdom of it. If your Quran say you do this, 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 don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, that is the religion of Islam, not the knowledge and wisdom of it. So once you start looking at in these different religions of what it say you should do, you shouldn't do, versus the knowledge that it's giving you that is trying to expand your consciousness to where you govern what you should do and what you should not do, then you'll be able to start thinking either within or without the box. But you got to realize that a lot of these are giving a preset box. And when you look at that preset box, does it agree with the freedom of your mind? At what degree do you want your mind to be free? And that's all what it boils down to. So now the theme for the midweek is as within, so without. Now that's coming from the Kabbalion, because the Kabbalion has the laws of the 7 laws of the universe. And the law of the universe that I'm coming from is the law of correspondence. So if somebody can comment in there, law of correspondence, just so people can know which law in the Kabbalion that I'm referring to. So please put that in there. Now, the law of correspondence says, as above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. Yeah, and that's why I said you can get, if you want to take notes, write that down. I'm pinning it so you can actually go back and look at what I'm saying. Now, with this, the reason why it's saying as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without. That is the main reason why everything is connected. Everything is connected. Because the first plane, like I said, we're talking about mind. Once you go in your mind, you still have the conscious awareness of all planes that is below the heavens and above in the heavens. Meaning that you have these planes within. Like I said, you have the mental plane, you have the intellectual plane, and you have the emotional plane. And those are levels within that. Because your intellectual plane and your mental plane is your higher and lower self. And that's all still rooting from the spiritual plane, because the spiritual plane of you is the highest plane. The lowest plane of you is your emotional plane. But they still, as above, so below. Because that's, you got to look at your the spiritual plane has a different, it phases into the intellectual plane that phases into the emotional plane. Because after the emotional plane, that's when things starts to go into the material existence of things. Because you can perceive the material things through your five senses. And through those five senses, it goes into your emotional plane first. Then it goes into your intellectual plane for you to try to understand and interpret and rationalize these emotions. That goes into that spiritual plane, because now it's forming and changing your energy. So now, as without, whatever happened out here, that's how you begin to internalize it. You begin to internalize it. Now, once it go into your spirit, your energy changes. And then once your energy changes, it goes right back through your intellectual plane, the rationale, and goes through your emotional plane, because now since your energy has changed, you feel something different, and it goes right back out into the material world through your actions. So now, if that's making sense, please let me know. Please let me know. And that's why I'm saying you got to understand this process, because now you got to realize when you put these things that's without in this box, you compartmentalize that experience in this box and you process it based upon the parameters that you have set in that box, and it takes that same pathway back out. So now, if you don't realize that whatever you internalize, you either have magnified it or you transformed it based upon the parameters of the box in you. And that started here. That started here. So say, okay, cool. Like I said, if I'm going too deep or it's getting over, man, please, there's no dumb questions. There is no dumb questions at all. Now, I want to come from here, because this is what now that we're talking about the internal planes, we got to look at all planes that's operating simultaneously. Because see, in here, they said it's called the three great planes. You have the great physical plane. Okay, no problem. I have no problem re-explaining. No problem at all. Here you go. You got the physical plane, you got the mental plane, and you got the spiritual plane. That's what this is referring to. But what people didn't add in is the emotional plane. because your mental plane takes on a body of itself. Your emotional plane takes on a body of itself. Your physical plane is a body of itself. And your spiritual plane is the encompassing, the root, the origin of all planes that are in existence. So that's why I say what you take in is what you're going to put out. And what is being put out, you allow yourself to take in. So now if you understand as within, so without in that aspect, then you'll see how your as within, so without is predicated to your as above, so below. That's why I say when you go to the depths of your mind, you have reached the heights of it. Because now for you to go as within, so without. As above, so below. As below, so above. So you got to understand this mental plane. You got to understand your mind. And it's a reason why you have to think outside this box. Because this box is a limiter. But how can you think outside of it if you don't recognize what's in it? And the only way you can recognize what is in it is by becoming aware of what it's creating outside of it. So now, when it says think outside the box, it's pretty much telling you, think outside of yourself. Can this be for someone who overthinks a lot? This man, great rising, abundant rising, wealthy rising. This is right here is the reason why people overthink, or why people don't think at all. Because one, when you're thinking, you're not thinking about things internally. You're thinking about things externally. So right then and there, if you're overthinking, that's because you don't recognize it. You are thinking outside of the box. But what happens is you're thinking outside of your box, and you put your mind in another box outside of you. So now we have to stop the overthinking, because now that's what overthinking is. You started getting over, you got over your box and started thinking in a box outside of you. Think about it, an experience that just happened. Your mind is not in here in this box no more. Your mind has jumped into the box of the experience, and then you internalize it and put it in your box. So now that's how you overthink. You jumped out of your box into the box of that experience, and you're trying, and by you understanding it, you're bringing that box back to your mind. So now you're not only trapped back in the box of your mind, you're trapped in the box of that experience that you put inside that box in your mind. That's why it's so hard to get out of it, because you don't see how much layers of isolation in your mind you've put yourself in. So of course you're gonna start overthinking, because now not only are you trying to think about how to get out of this box of that experience, now you got to think about how I'm gonna get out of this box I put myself in my mind, because it's going to inertly turn in physically. How am I stuck here? Why am I stuck in this? Why am I stuck in a state of can't get no resolution? Why am I stuck? Why am I in this stagnant place? That's because you don't know how many boxes you've put your mind in and brought it back here. And now you got these layers of limitations that you can't seem to navigate through, because you have created ceilings on each one of them. That's what overthinking. So true indeed, you're thinking outside of the box, but you put yourself in another box and brought it back. So that's why as without, so within. You took that and you internalized it. Because now you want to say, okay, cool. I want a different result to come out of me. That's why I'm telling you this. When people go into their mind, when you internalize it, you're not thinking. You never think, hear me clearly, you never think about anything internal. You never think. Why would you need to think about something that you are? And people don't tell you this. When you go inside here, you can guarantee the thoughts that you have is never about what's in here. It's always about what's out there. So you never think about what's within. What you really doing when you go within, that's not thinking. That's learning. Because you don't have to think about it. You know it exists. You know it's real. So you learn from it. So now when you go within and you learn from it, the thinking you're doing about out there is, how do I apply this to out there? So now you're not thinking internally, you're learning internally, and you're using that information on thinking about how can I apply it out there. That's how you'll never overthink, and that's how you'll never be trapped in another box outside of yourself. This is the cure of overthinking. You'll never overthink another thing in your life if you understand these different planes of internal learning and those different planes of external thinking. Because if you find yourself going within and you're thinking about within, you're not thinking about it. Whatever you're doing when you go within and you're thinking about, it's still attached to something out. It's still attached to a box outside of you. Hey, we getting it in. We getting it in. That's why I said this is a paradigm shift. We're unlocking things. We're unlocking things. So that's why it's just as dangerous, or probably even more, to overthink than to not think at all. Than to not think at all. Because that's how powerful your mind is. That is how powerful your mind is. If you choose not to think at all, then now you are subject to circumstances. So now you're allowing yourself to be placed in a box called destiny, which we are all subject to destiny, but you have just relinquished the control of your fate and put your fate in destiny's hands. And now by you not thinking, you're in a box that was not created by you, but it's putting you in there because you're allowed to be in that. So whatever happens, happens. That's where you get, it is what it is. And that's it. But hold up. Are you not a creator? And the reason I say you are a creator, because you are made in the image of the creator. So the moment you say it is what it is, that means that you are accepting what it is. Then what? After that, you recognize it is what it is, then what? You just gonna let it be? Or you're gonna take this new information and do something with it? That's where thinking comes in. That's where thinking come in. Because see, the thing about that is when you get to a point to say things is what it is, that means that information has already been internalized and accepted. Now, when you go within, did you learn from it? When you go within with it, what are you learning from it? Because you're not thinking about it internally. You're a student now. So you're learning. Because you can't learn and think at the same time. I don't know if people ever told you this, But like I said, I'm going to explain it thoroughly as much as possible. You do not learn and think at the same time. Because to learn is to ingest information. It's to ingest information. And once that information is ingested, now you're processing it. Once you process it, now you're thinking on how does that apply outside of me? That's what you're thinking about. You never think about things internal. If you ever been aware of this, when you begin to think, you're not thinking about things internal. You're thinking about things external. Whether you have internalized it initially or something outside of you created an experience that you have internalized. You're thinking about it from an outer view. That's why initially you're always thinking outside the box. But what people don't recognize, when you think outside of the box, you put your thoughts in another box. And then you begin to internalize that box and make that box a part of you. Why would you need to think, once you get out of the box of your head, why take your mind into another box outside of you that you really don't have control over? That you did not create that box. You did not narrow it or expand it. You don't know what's inside that box. So how can you ultimately think you're going to get out of something that you did not create, but you put yourself in it? So that means now you're going to be taking a lot of time learning what's inside that box so you can get out of that one, then try to get out the box in here too. Look at how much work you're putting yourself in. Man, thank you so much for the gifts. I really appreciate it. I mean, do you see that's why when people complain or they say, I feel stuck. I feel stuck. I feel like I'm not going anywhere. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. What boxes have you put yourself in? And instead of trying to learn your way out, you're trying to think your way out. But you're still not thinking. You're thinking, you're not learning internally. You think you're thinking, but that's still external. That's where it says, get out of your head. That's why it's always saying, get out of your head. Get out of your head. Get out of your head. Because you don't realize how much you're putting in your head. But how can you get out of it? And I know I'm answering a lot of questions because this is a lot of questions that have been asked before. How do I get out of my head? Stop thinking about what's out there and start learning what's in here. Because once you learn what's in here, you don't have to think about what's out there. You know what to do. The only thing you need to do is, okay, take what you learn and think about how to apply it. That's it. And you don't even really have to think about it. Because once you learn, now you what? Know, just do. Once you learn, now you know. Just do. But if those who just choose to think, okay, you don't have to think about it. You want to think about how you're going to apply it. Now that's another box you consciously put yourself in, because now you can find yourself taking 30, 40, 50 million ways on how, okay, I can do it this way. I can do it that way. I can do it this way. I can do it that way. Why not just do it the way you learned? And I'm not talking about learned from external experiences. I'm talking about learned on internal information. What did you learn from it? Not what that experience taught you. Not what that experience taught you. But when you go within, what it within teach you about that experience. See, people say, well, you got to learn from experiences. I'm showing you how you learn from it. You don't learn from these experiences off the experience itself, because the experience puts information in you. If you only keep looking at that experience, that's the only thing you're going to keep thinking about. You're thinking about it, but you are not learning from it. You're only thinking what that experience has done to you. You only thinking about what that experience left, what kind of scar, or left what type of joy. See, you're not learning from it. You're just thinking about it based off of as below, your emotional self. And you're giving your emotional self precedence over your intellectual self. So now your intellectual self does not have time to process fully and interpret it back to you. It's just allowing your emotional self to say, look, intelligent self, this is what it is. When you allow your emotional self to override your intellectual self, you're telling your intellectual self, do not interpret it, do not rationalize it. This is what it is. Take it for that. Take it for that. So then now you trust me, I'm telling you, this is what free will and choice does. You have that authority to override your intellectual mind. So now your emotional self overrode your intellectual self, and your intellectual self stored that into your spirit and said, okay, with this emotion, this is the rationale to it. So when you feel this, this is the energy it's coming in. And now, but think about it. You stored it as it is, and your mind never had a chance to process or interpret it properly for you. So now your intellectual mind is not at work. It's just your brain. Because your brain is not what's allowing you to think. Your brain is storage space. So you shut your intellectual self down and just told your brain to store it. That's how you find yourself holding on to a lot of trauma. Holding on to a lot of trauma, and you cannot think outside of it because you have, one, shut down your intellectual self. It never got a chance to interpret it properly for you to learn from it. So the only thing is now that when your spirit, your energy brings that back to you, it's going to look exactly the same. Your emotions brought it in, overrode your intellectual self, deposit that memory in your brain, and told your spirit, this is how we act. This is all that is entailed with it. So now it's planted in your energy. So now when your energy gets triggered by that, it can only put out what came in. It never had the chance to filter and interpret and translate it properly. That's why you can't think outside that box, because you did not allow your mind to give that box its true form. So you're going to always be stuck thinking in that box until you learn. But the only way you learn is your mind has to interpret it. So you got to go in your mind and learn. But if you bypass your mind, there's nothing to learn. Man, thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. That's why I say people tell you two things. They say, well, use your brain. You're using your brain every second of the day. You're just not using your mind. You're not using your mind. Your mind is so powerful. You're not using it. Yes, you use your brain to think. But you use your mind to operate. So you can think all day. That's why you're not going anywhere. You're using your brain. Your brain has all this stored information that your mind has not processed. That's why you can't move. You use your mind to operate. You use your brain to think. Because the only thing that your brain is doing is storing information from out there. And what I tell you, you don't think about things internally. You think about things externally. But your mind, you learn. Your mind, when you go into your mind, you're learning from it. Because your mind has already processed it. And it's showing you, okay, this is what it really is. This is what it really is. This. Now operate in this manner. Bet. I got every answer I need. I got every answer I need. And and the reason I'm saying, man, great rising, abundant rising, wealthy rising. And you know why I'm saying this? Because your brain only records the what. Your mind interprets the why. That's why I say it's always the great planes. You got the physical plane, the mental plane, the emotional plane, and the spiritual plane. The spiritual plane is the origins of all planes. So now, if you go back to the origin is the why. You can't see the why. You hear what I'm saying? You cannot see the why. You can only interpret on the physical sense the what. And once you come in contact with the what, you begin the process to internalizing it. And if you don't allow your mind to interpret it, then your brain is going to store it as it is what it is. And you'll never have anything past that. So now you'll see that everything that is in connection or reflection of that, your brain stored it as it is what it is. And you're going to react to it every time. That's the limitation you put on that. You didn't allow yourself to think out of that box. Because you actually, by you bypassing your mind, your spirit has been actually defaulted. Your spirit is in default mode. That means that what I mean by default mode, that you're gonna automatically react the same in that same manner, no matter what, every time. Every time. Because, like I said, that box that you bypassed your mind with told your soul, this is how we're gonna this is the reality of it. So when I'm going in here and making this the reality of it, anytime that my emotional plane feels that, it already knows off top, bypass the mind, because we have it already stored as default. So I don't have to think about it. I'll act in this manner every time. I'll act because spirit is energy. So in this energy, it's in default. You're going to act like that every time. That's a box. That's why you can't think outside the box. You bypassed your mind. You got to have both together. I hope this is making sense. I hope this is making sense. If I'm gonna read something from here, but I just want to make sure that y'all are still with me on this. So let me know if it's resonating. Let me know if it's making sense. Let me know if let me know if you're still with me, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to go too far and people be lost. You're like, what the fuck? I don't want none of that. You taking your time to watch me. You're still with me. You're listening to me. So I want to give y'all the same time that you're giving me. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it. It says making 100% sense. Hey, all right. Said, I know this and was saying this today already crazy. Hey, that's what's up. Man, yeah. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And like I said, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to read this little passage from the Kabbalion. because it's something that I wanted to really get y'all to understand on why your mind is so important. And by not using your mind is the reason why you can't think outside the box. You have to use your mind. Your mind allows you to think outside the box because your mind is already outside the box because it's the box itself. You hear what I'm saying? Your mind is the box. But if you keep thinking about things outside and bringing it in your box, and you never let your mind interpret it properly, then you're going to be stuck in that box. You're not using your mind. You're just stuck in that box in your mind, and you're overthinking because now you have not gotten over the fact that you have took something outside of you and put it in you. So now you're trying to figure out how to get out of that and get out of the box of your mind, and you're doing a lot of mental work, and you wonder why you're exhausted. See, it's one thing to be physically tired, but when you are mentally tired, that's a whole different ball game. Dis-ease of the mind turns into disease of the body. So now if your mind is exhausted, your body is going to your body is going to be full of life and wondering why it's just not motivated. You can be physically energetic and ready to do everything, but in your mind depressed, dark, and morbid because you have exhausted the faculties of your mind trying to process something that you are not allowing it to do. You're too busy thinking on things outside of it instead of allowing your mind to process it. So now your mental faculties are exhausted, which leads to your physical faculties exhausted. And the more chaos and disorder and dis-ease you have in both, it creates that disease to where now is because you don't understand, it's connected to your immune system. You got a physical immune system and you have a spiritual immune system. Now, the spiritual immune system is trying to kill the thoughts that is breaking down the balance of your energetic being. The same way the immune system of your body is trying to destroy anything that is throwing your body out of balance. But if your mental is breaking down your physical immune system, that means that your mental immune system has already broke. So now you don't have any protection against any dis-ease of the mind. So it's doing as within, so without. It's breaking down the defense system of your body, and it's allowing it to break down too. So that means that as your mind defense system goes down, the more it get attacked, it's breaking down your physical defense system, and it's allowing your body to get attacked. So now if you go all the way back, what did I say? As within, so without. So as your defense system in your mind breaks down and continually be at a state of dis-ease, it is breaking down as without your physical immune system, and it's letting it be vulnerable to disease. And now you begin to think outside. That's why you have all these pharmaceutical medicines. That's why you have all these doctor visits. When actuality, my mother taught me this. And this is one reason why I say you got to think outside the box. And the way you think outside the box is you learn from within it. You learn from within it to think outside of it. My mother always told me, she said, I ain't really have to go to no doctor. I just sit here and listen to my body. You're learning. She learned from what the information her body was telling her to know how to operate outside of her. So she really didn't have to think. If you go within and learn, it's giving you the answer. It's giving you the answer. But the more you don't go within and learn, you're only thinking about what's out of you. So with this, it says the great physical plane and its 7 minor planes. I'm not going to go into the minor planes. Is that division of the phenomena of the universe, which includes all that relates to physics or material things, forces, and manifestations. It includes all forms of that which we call matter, and all forms of that which we call energy or force. Energy and matter. As within the unseen, energy, so without, matter, materialized. So as within, the source of it is the direct result of as without, the manifestation of it. So I hope that explained that. But you must remember that the Hermetic philosophy does not recognize matter as a thing in itself or as having a separate existence, even in the mind. Even in the mind. The teachings are that matter is but a form of energy. That is energy at a low rate of vibrations of a certain kind. Started here. It started here. So this is why I'm saying, as within, so without. As a man thinketh, so is he. The reason why you think of something outside of you is because what? You want to internalize it to either understand it, overcome it, or become it. But regardless of the matter of the fact, you're going to become it. Because whatever materializes is an extension and is in same existence of the internal energy that has manifested it. So you can't say that doesn't matter. You can't say nothing matters. And in the sense of you just trying to ignore it. No. The reason why it would not matter is if you did not internalize it and gave it energy. That's how things does not matter. Because your mind would be in connection with your own energy. Like I said, your spirit. And if your mind had processed that external materialization of whatever, and it told your spirit, this is not of us. This is not of you. This is not bam, bam, bam. Then you would not ingest that into yourself. So you would not have to think about it because your mind has already told you this is something you do not have to process. Your mind has told you what's externally materialized. Do not internalize this because that is your mental immune system at work. Your mind is a filter. Your mind is a protector. Your mind is an immune system. So now if you let that go into the mind space, it will tell you. It will become a protector and immune system to say that does not fit suitable for us. So do not internalize it. It would reject it and put it back out. Even go back through your senses. Now it would give from your mental state to your emotional state. Look, you don't have to feel any type of way about this. Push it out. That's why If that was to happen, you don't feel any type of way about it, because your mind, being an immune system for your spirit, would not allow you to internalize it. So it pushed it out and told your emotions, you ain't got to feel no type of way about this, because this is not a importance to our grand design. So in that manner, that's how things don't matter, because now it has no energy of yours and it no longer exists. It may be in existence to others, but it's not of your own creation, so you don't manifest it. It's not something you've manifested. It's not part of you. It's not part of your design. So it matters to everybody else because they have embedded it. Their mind has allowed them to process it because their immune system has broke down, so they became it. But you feel no type of way about it because you got a healthy mind. And your immune system of your mind said, don't internalize it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Your mind is going to allow you to internalize some things that you're just not going to like. That's because that experience, whatever materialized, it really does matter. But it doesn't matter to the point to where people think it matters. It matters because the growth that is needed to be manifested from it, not the experience itself matters. The transformation of that matters because it helps you expand your limitations. That's why your mind allow it to come in, because it's a certain lesson within that your mind wants you to understand, to surpass the limitations that are set in there. So that's how you know the way it came in is not going to be the same way when it goes out. That's when you have a healthy mind. That's when you have a working mind. That's when you are using your mind. That what comes in does not come back out the same way. It comes back out not better, not worse. It comes back out as necessity, as required, as deemed by your spiritual purpose. Because that's the reason why your mind allowed it to be embedded in your spirit. So that now your spirit can say, now the thing about that is your mind has already filtered that experience. So your mind has already filtered that experience. So it's only going to put in your spirit what is necessary. Your brain has collected the full experience, but your mind has filtered what is necessary for your spirit. So your spirit is going to bring back to your mind, okay, this is the purpose. This is the calling. This is the goal. This is the agenda for this existence right now. Now, what you just filtered, because see, the mind has to go to the spirit because that information has to attach to the purpose. So now once that information that your mind has filtered attached to the purpose, it gives it right back to the mind. So now the mind being attached to the purpose connects the information and gives you this what? Vision. And it goes through your emotion and it tells you, okay, you may have felt this on the way in, but I need you to feel this way on the way out. That's why tragedy can turn into triumph. Because now that emotion is not attached to the experience that materialized out of you. That emotion is attached now to the resolution and the manifestation that was created in you. So you're not feeling some type of way about what happened outside of you. It's been transformed. Oh my God. Oh, thank you for the gift, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Man, that was fire. That was fire. But do y'all get what I'm saying? So now what you may have been feeling insecure about an external, you're feeling confident about an internal. Because now, as within, so without. If you see the resolution to whatever manifested already in you, then you can be confident that that same manifestation is going to come out of you. Because the same way that something was manifested outside of you, internalized, so shall it be once it comes back through your own filtering process and put back out into the world. Now, you're thinking outside of yourself. You're thinking outside of yourself because now whatever is coming out of you no longer affects you. You see what I'm saying? When you're initially thinking about something externally, you're thinking about how that affected you. But when you go through this process, you begin to thinking outside of yourself because it no longer affects you. It's now about to start affecting your environment because the initial effect of you was the origin of this growth. So now it shouldn't affect you no more. You see what I'm saying? The emotions you felt on the way in should not be the same emotions you feel on the way out. Because if it's the same emotions you feel on the way out, you've bypassed your mind and you put your spirit on default. That means you're going to react to this every time the same way. And it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. And that feeling is not going to change. And as long as that feeling does not change, because the perception of it has not changed, you're going to keep encountering the same experience because as it come in, you're putting that same thing back out there. You're not putting change out there. You're putting the exact same. Your spirit is on default. Your energy is on default. So now as within, so without. You didn't change it here. You're using your brain, not your mind. Oh, don't get me wrong. You can block it out. See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, well, I'm trying to block this out my mind. That means that you trying to block your mind from pulling that out of your brain. So that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to block that out. It's easy to block anything out. Just tell your mind, don't pull it up. But if your mind is pulling it up, it's telling you it's time to fix this. If your mind is pulling information out of your brain and you feel some type of way, remember I told you, you've bypassed your mind, but it's still in your brain because you don't want to feel this way about it. But if your mind pulls it up, it's telling you it has been stored, altered, and tainted. This is bad information you are putting in your operating system. Stop bypassing this. We need to run this efficiently. That's when you have upgrades. Your mind is instantly catching downloads and need to upgrade. So it's pulling out bad information stored in your brain and telling you it's time to process it because you've bypassed me and put your spirit on default. That's why you consistently keep getting the same results. Because you set the command. When this happened, you feel this way, shut down the mind, good spirit on default. This is how you're going to react to this every time. So as it came in, that's going to be the same way it came out. And your brain is like, I ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm just a person that's holding information. It's your mind that's really pulling the strings. So now your mind has pulled something up and telling you it's time to work on this. I got to get this right, because your mind is always attached to your spirit, because your mind is it, you have the creator, you have the maker. Your spirit is the creator. Your mind is the maker. So now your spirit knows what needs to be created. That's the energy that created everything. Your mind know how it needs to be formed. So now you have purpose and intelligence that needs to work hand in hand. So the more you keep bypassing your mind, you're setting your energy, your spirit on default. So you're not using your mind, you're using your brain, and you're not internalizing, getting the proper information out. You're just pulling out things that is stored from outside of you. So when you think you're thinking, it's not you learning from internal reasoning, it's you thinking about experiences that happen outside of you, and you wondering why you can't get different results. You're not using your mind. So what are you thinking about? You're not using your mind. So what are you really thinking about? And the way you know what you're thinking about is look at what you keep replaying that happened outside of you. What do you keep replaying? You ain't got an answer yet, did you? I mean, this is just rhetorical question, but I'm saying you ain't got an answer yet, did you? 9 times out of 10, you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing. If you find yourself not knowing why you're doing what you're doing, that's because you have bypassed your mind. I told you, your brain thinks about the what. Your mind interprets the why. So if you don't know why, you are not using your mind. You keep focusing on what? That's stored in your brain. So you're thinking, you're literally thinking, but you don't know. That's why you're overthinking. And that's why you're not thinking at all. Because you don't know why. And that's why you feel insecure. That's why you feel unsafe. That's why you keep having these same repeated patterns. Literally, you don't know why, but you think you do. Come on now. You think you do. And the why that you're replacing with the think you do is only the what. You don't know why. You just think you do. Because you've bypassed your mind. So how could you know why when your mind is trying to tell you why? So if you knew why, that's why I say when you know better, you do better. But to know better is to use your mind and stop thinking about it and start understanding it. That's why I say when you go within, you're not thinking, you're learning, you're understanding, you're gaining knowledge to bring into this external as a solution, as an answer, as a manifestation. But if you only continue to think about what's out there, that's the only thing you're going to keep getting, because you're not understanding, you're not learning. So as within, so without. The answer is within you. But if you do not allow that internal process to take place, then only thing you're doing is internalizing experiences and bringing that same experience back out. And bringing that same experience back out. So I'm hoping is that making sense so far? Is that making sense? That's why I say you got to use a mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's why it says a mind is a terrible. Your mind. If people understood how powerful their mind is, a lot of things that people do, a lot of things that people experience will take a whole new meaning. Take a whole new meaning. Said it sure do, man, making sense. Facts. Man, thank you so much. Okay, cool. We're going to keep going on because I want to bring in the Bible and the Quran. I do this just to show that I'm not a respecter of anything. I'm not biased. I keep an open mind on all things. So I just want to show you, if you ever want to go back to your Bible or back to your Quran, you can read this and see exactly, okay, look, he's not saying nothing different. This is not saying nothing different. Because I need people to get outside of that box of religion. I have to really I need people to do that. And I'm not trying to say that your religion is wrong, but you got to understand the difference between religion and knowledge. Religion is just something you practice daily. In your religious books, these are just guidelines and limitations for you to act. That's not knowledge of the actual spiritual system. That's not knowledge. Just because I tell you thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, is that giving you any knowledge of God? Just because I tell you you should fast 7 times a day and fast during Ramadan, is that giving you any knowledge of Allah? No, that's just limitations. That's a box that I want you in, that I can know that you'll be in a certain position when I give you this knowledge. But sometimes you can get knowledge out of the Quran. You can get knowledge out of the Bible that shakes your own spirit. And you want to act outside of those limited parameters that that book has given you. But you at conflict because you're afraid to jump outside of that box. It's uncomfortable. That's when you're at war with yourself. Well, my spirit is telling me this, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can do that. I don't think. That's because now when you say my spirit is telling me this, but I don't think, you have just closed off your mind. You have became that ceiling. That's why I said in the weekly, your mind may be a box, but there's no ceiling. You can always elevate. You can always elevate. But the moment you say, I think I can't, or I feel I can't, or I can't, or I won't, or this ain't, you have just created your own limitation. And that's the true definition of closed-mindedness. So that's why I'm saying I'm trying to open that mind up. And see, the way people do it is to try to open somebody's mind, they try to degrade and knock that religious system. You're never going to get a positive reaction in that manner. If I come in attack mode, then that puts you in defense mode. So if I'm attacking what you hold true to you, you're going to fight me. And what has that done? There's no transference of energy. All we're doing is being against one another. So the more I try to open you up, the more you're going to fight me to keep it closed. And you're going to keep tightening it up. You're going to keep more constricting it. So you feel that you don't fall prey or victim of remotely opening it up to a new ideology or a new philosophy or a new theory. You see, now you see why you see the opposition. But if I show you within those same parameters of limitations on how your mind is already expanded in it, is just limited by these mandates, then that gives you the opportunity to take that ceiling off yourself. Because in your mind, who can see your mind? Who can see your mind? You. Nobody outside of you can see your mind. Only you can. So how can I open your mind up? That's why you have been saying, I need you to open your mind. I can't do it. I don't care what kind of information I put out of here. There's no way, even though a lot of what I'm saying may sound factual, actual, real, and true, there's no way that I can take that ceiling off your mind if you don't want it off. You set your own parameters and limitations of how much goes in and how much comes out. So we have to stop thinking, especially in the spiritual community, that I'm gonna open your mind up. I'm gonna free your mind. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. I'm not finna do none of that. I'm giving you information that will allow you to do it for yourself. But that's only if you choose to. That's only if you choose to. And we got to get that. But see, the thing about that is you got certain, like I said, you got 10 commandments. You got all this, that, and the third that tells you what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. It lays the limitations and parameters out for you. And see, people get comfortable with that because they don't want to use their mind. They don't want to use their mind to self-govern themselves, because if your mind was used, you would know what limitations and parameters is already set based off of its intellectual connection with your divine purpose of you being here. So you wouldn't have to worry about what set mandates and principles that you got to limit yourself by. You wouldn't have to fall victim to these experiences that you are using as barriers and comfort zones. Your mind will tell you exactly. But that's what happens when you bypass it. You always got to think of something. Man, I got to think of a way to get that. I got to think of a way to do this. I got to think of a way. 9 times out of 10, the stuff I do, I don't think about it. I don't think about it. I let it come in. I let my mind process. I let it connect with my inner self, and I learn from it. And when I learn from it, it presents me a vision and in whatever way that it knows that I'm gonna receive it, and I act accordingly. When I do find myself thinking about things outside of me, that means I have bypassed my common logic, my higher self, my consciousness, and I allowed my spirit to be on default. So when I start thinking about it, that's why you find me reacting the same way. And when I catch myself doing that, I step back. Because the more I keep acting in that manner, the more it's going to stay the same. That's like I'm not using my mind right now. Because I'm stuck on thinking about an external. My mind ain't processed it real yet. I keep replaying the what. And I'm not allowing myself to understand the why. I'm not learning from the why. So if I'm not learning from the why, then the only thing I'm going to do is what? Keep repeating the what. So I'm hoping that makes sense, man. I'm hoping that makes sense. What I'm going to do is I got to come up here because we talked about this last week, but we need to go back and bring just a little portion of this up. So in the Bible, we coming from St. Matthew. If y'all wanna come in along, you know what I'm saying, read along, grab your Bible. It's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I do. If you got a Bible, if you got a Quran, if you want to read along with me, man, feel free. I'm not going to read too much of it. It's probably just 2 verses. It's only 2 verses I'm reading. So if you just want to jot it down, it's Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 and verse 10. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 and 10. Let me put this up. I'll put that up here. Matt 6, 9 through 10. All right. So this is what it reads. And this is the Lord's Prayer. Say your God sent. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I thank you so much. All right, it reads, this is the 2 things that you need to know from the Lord's Prayer that explains why I say as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without. The Lord's Prayer confirms it in the Bible. Because you said not in chapter 6, verse 9, it reads, after this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. I'm gonna repeat that real quick. It says, after this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So you have as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without, in the first two verses of the Lord's Prayer. But it's putting it on an external sense. Now take that, you being made in the image and likeness, you are the Lord of earth because of the God within. So now, as the God within you, you have that same sovereignty, authority, and power as a Lord of the land. Because, and the reason I'm saying this is because let's go back to Genesis. What did it tell you? What did it tell you in Genesis? Hold on. Golly. It said, well, hold on. I'm missing something. Give me one, because I got to get another Bible. Hold on one second. Because we're going to get it in. We're going to get it real. Where is that? I don't have it. Hold on. We still here. Hold on. I'm gonna use this laptop real quick. Bear with me, because it's in Genesis. And I want to, like what I said, when I bring you information, I just don't want to bring you something and I can't give you the reference for it. And that's where a lot of other, I'm having a great one. Hope you're having a great day as well. See, that's where a lot of people go wrong. They give you a lot of information and they don't give you any references. See, a lot of stuff that I give you, I know it doesn't have any, because I tap into the universal intelligence. But anything that's in universal intelligence is in documentation in the physical realm. As I just read, on earth as it is in heaven. So anything unseen, you're going to see it on the scene. So any information that I'm pulling from the unseen, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you'll see it on the scene. Whether it has to be me, the one that brings it into the scene, or it has already been placed in the scene and I'm just connecting to it. And I can find a direct place on, okay, and normally when I do that, confirmation comes. If it's some information that I have tapped into, 9 times out of 10, right after that, it presents itself. And that's usually like, I end up reading it, all this, that, and the third, be like, damn, I already knew this. I understand why I know this. It's just, those are signs for me that like, that's confirmation. It's like that thought or that knowledge or whatever that has been implanted or downloaded to you. It's real. Because why would it even present itself in the physical sense? But that shows you that you be in alignment. You're in alignment. That the moment the moment your mind presents something to you and it physically presents itself, that show you how powerful your mind is in manifesting. Because it manifested its own confirmation. It manifested here, but you seeing it in the external is only confirmation because it's already been manifested. on earth as it is in heaven. As within, so without. So now if you've seen it on the outside of you, it had already manifested in you. So you shouldn't have to hope for nothing. You know. So what are you thinking about? You get what I'm saying? What are you thinking about? Your mind has done all the work. Only thing you need to do is do. What are you thinking about? Now you see why I'm saying when you think it's always out there? That's what you're thinking about out there. That's why I tell you, you're overthinking. Because if you internalize, use your mind, it's going to give you the answer. So you don't have to feel some type of way about it because you keep thinking about it. The only way you should feel about it is confident, courageous, safe, secure. Because now it's not going to come out the same way it came in. It may have came in this way and threw me off. But when it come out of me, thy will be done. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's how you operate in that God nature. That's how you operate in that as made in the image and likeness. That's how you can stop overthinking. And that's the reason why people don't think at all. They're not using their mind. And your mind is God. The mind, hold on. Let's go. I'm still looking for that verse because I'm going to show you why your mind is so powerful. We're still looking in the Bible and the Quran. If you go back, like I said, the Kabbalion, if we go back to this, the first law is the law of mentalism. It says I don't know if y'all can see it. If y'all want to, I'll put it up here. It might be reverse or whatnot. But it says the all is mind. The universe is mental. The universe is mental. All is mind. So now if you're not using your mind, how can you call yourself a God? If you're not using your mind, how do you know God? You don't. You think you know. You feel what I'm saying? Because they got God somewhere outside of you. So now if you're not using your mind, you don't know God. You think you do. And what I tell you, thinking is always external. If you're not using your mind, you don't know Christ. You think you do. If you're not using your mind, then you don't know yourself. You think you do. Based off of what happened to you outside of you. That's why your experiences becomes your reality. Because your experiences became your identity. You think you know you, but you don't know you. Because you have not paid any mind to yourself. You were just only thinking about yourself. So you know what? You don't know why. And to know why is to fully know and understand. You get what I'm saying? I'm hoping this making sense. But this is why it's time to start thinking outside of the box. Thinking outside of the box. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hoping it's breaking down why you got to do this. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping it's showing some type of importance on why you have to do this. You know what I'm saying? Dominion. Okay. This is where I was coming from. It's Genesis first chapter. So it makes plenty of sense. I'm glad it is because see, this is why I'm telling you. If I just told you that the all is mind, the universe is mental, and if the universe is considered the heavens, heaven and earth, that means your spiritual nature and your physical nature. As on earth, on the materialized sense, as it is in heaven, in the spiritual sense. So that means that your mind is your Lord, the Lord of the land. You are the original landlord because of this. And I'm going to show you why you are the landlord. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So you mean to tell me that you don't see you are the Lord of this land? Because being in that image and likeness, you have dominion over all this. So of course, if you have dominion over the land, you got to have dominion over yourself. Because if you don't have dominion over yourself, then you don't have dominion on this land. And that's when you go back to, it is what it is. You have just deemed yourself powerless. And you have just given destiny control over your fate. And you're wondering why you're not creating the life you wanted. That's because you're in that box. You're not using your mind, but you're thinking outside of your box and hopping yourself into somebody else's box. You get what I'm saying? As within, so without. So now if you put your mind in somebody else's box, as without, you bring it back in. So now their way of being is yours. That experience is yours. You're taking ownership of something that you need to understand and release. That's why I say when you go through something, you don't keep the experiences. You take the lesson and release it. Because now if you take the lesson and release it, then it can come out of you in a transformed state that is not beneficial, not only to you, but everybody in that environment. Because now to think outside of yourself, to think outside the box, once you have internalized it, you're no longer thinking of yourself because it no longer affects you. Take the lesson and release the experience. Because the true experience is not the physical materialization of it. It's the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom you pulled from it. That's the experience. Not the actual act. Not the act. Because just because you went through an act and you experienced it, without knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, you have no experience from it. You just go through shit. That's why you continually go through shit. You have no experience. Only thing you're doing is just experiencing it. But you have no experience of it because you have yet to learn from it. But you don't learn from it. Keep thinking about that experience. You learn when you use your mind to interpret it and understand it. So now once your mind has interpreted the reason why, you no longer have to focus on the what. That's why I'm saying once you know why, the what don't matter anymore. You know what happened, but now once you know why, it comes out of you different. because it went through your mental immune system, your mind. So your mind should not be at dis-ease anymore. But the reason why your mind would be at dis-ease is because you are shutting it down. You are bypassing it. And it's trying to do its function. But it's not able to function like it wants to because it's a disruption in the natural processes. So it can't do what it's supposed to do. Your mind is only building up pressure, building up resistance. So now if your mind is not being allowed to operate how it's supposed to, it's building up resistance, it's building up pressure. What do you think your mind is fighting? You. And it wants you to surrender, trying to bypass it because you're not allowing your mind to do its natural job. So the more you don't use your mind, the more you just want to be a common man, a common woman, a mere mortal. You're living for the world. You realize you're in this world, and that's it. But don't realize how you are not of it. That's what I say. You're supposed to live in this world and not be of it. I mean, you have no choice. You're not of this world. But the moment your mind is bypassed, you wouldn't understand that fathom, because now you are in this world and of this world because your mind cannot tell you nothing different. It can't show you anything different. You think you know, but what you think you know, you don't know. What you think you know, you don't know. And your mind, and the way, and thing about that is your mind will tell you what you don't know. And you'll be afraid of it. That's crazy, ain't it? Your mind will tell you what you think you know and will let you know what you don't know. And you'll get scared of it. So then that's why you'll start to suppress your mind even more. And you start finding yourself in shit getting worse. You're wondering why shit get worse. You wonder why you having all these different type of chaotic experiences. Because you keep suppressing your mind when it's trying to tell you what you think you know. When your mind knows you don't know it at all. That's why I say you humble yourself to the spirit. But if you can't humble yourself to your own spirit, you'll never learn. You'll never learn. So if you can't humble yourself to yourself, you're in a world of trouble. You are in a world of trouble. Because now if you're not acknowledging that you are the origin and of all that is created in your environment, that you have became your environment, that is what you're going to keep manifesting. That is what you're going to keep manifesting. This is why your mind, you got to understand this. As above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. Because in your Lord's Prayer, it's telling you, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So whatever is in here is going to be done out there. So now if you keep taking things out there that is done and you internalize it and you keep bypassing your mind, you're going to keep putting that back out there. And you're going to keep repeating that cycle, manifesting more of it. And you're wondering why there is no change. He said, be ye renewed, be ye transformed by the renewance of what? Your mind. That's why I say, if you're not using your mind, you think you know. You don't know. You think you know. You only know what, but you don't know why. So to not know why is to not know the origins and the source of it. So you really don't know. You think you know you, but you don't know why. because you have not taken the time to go in and understand the reasoning, which only your mind can do. You can't think about it because your brain does not store that information. Your brain can only store information that it comes externally. Your mind it may be inside your brain, but is an external entity because it's within as without. It connects to universal intelligence. So it has to bring that which is outside of your brain scope and pull it in. That's where your downloads come from. So now that external information that your mind has connected to universal intelligence has put that in your brain, now it's stored there. So when you start reflecting, it's only pulling that information which is stored in your brain. But if you're using your brain, that's not knowing. That's just collected information. Your mind is what gives it shape, form, and interpretation. So if you don't know why of you, you don't know you. You just think you do. You know what you've done. You know what you've been through. You know what you experienced. You know what you've been told. You know what has been X, Y, and Z. But you still don't know you. Now you see what I'm saying? All that external became your identity and you think you know you. All that is just stored information in your brain. You don't know you. You think you do. So now let me go into the Quran. Let me go into the Quran. Now this is going to be for those who have their Quran. This is Surah 2 Al-Baqarah, and that's the cow. And we're going into verse 21. And you're going to see even the Quran says the same thing. And now what I just spoke about the Bible, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about it? Because I'm using these so people can break out that box, man. Break out the box. I'm not telling you don't have to be a Christian. I'm not telling you don't have to be you're not supposed to be a Muslim, or you're supposed to give reverence to Islam, or you give reverence to Catholicism, whatnot. I just want you to understand the knowledge of it instead of just thinking that by you living by these limitations, you're actually living accordingly. No. You're not living as a true person made in the image and likeness. You're just living according to some limitations that was set before you. So if you're living to limitations set before you, are you really the landlord? Are you really? Definitely. And this is it, breaking out the box ministries. So now when you go back into this faith or this belief system, you have a greater sense of knowing that you can actually be expanded and expound beyond the limitations of a religion and increase your faith and belief into a knowing, because your mind has given you all the understanding. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to have faith and belief. You know. Because you have a greater knowing than what you were thinking. You have a greater knowing than what you were thinking. So now here we go. It says, O ye people, worship your guardian Lord. Now you see, that's why I say the landlord. You have dominion. So if you know that you are the guardian Lord, your mind that is connected to the supreme being, you got to give reverence as you being made in the image of it, based upon your mind. You see what I'm saying? So who created you and those who came before you, that ye may become righteous, who has made the earth your couch and the heavens your canopy, on earth as it is in heaven. It just says it right here. O ye people, worship your guardian Lord, who created you and those who came before you, that ye may become righteous, who has made the earth your couch and the heavens your canopy, and sent down rain from the heavens, and brought forth therewith fruits for your sustenance. Then set not up rivals unto Allah when ye know the truth. Now, Allah, A-L-L-A-H. I'm gonna show you what Allah is, and I'm gonna put it right here. There it is right there. Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head. You have 5 extremities. God on earth. Allah. So it's showing you that you are the God incarnate. But when you say Allah, that is you giving reference of your God nature being connected to the source. You see what I'm saying? You are operating. That's why righteous does not mean your actions. It means just what it means. Righteous, right, upright, 90 degrees, in alignment. So that means that you are in alignment with your God self. And understand that you are a God incarnate, because you have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said, who has made the earth your couch and the heavens your canopy. Say, I'm following God through Allah now. And that's what I'm saying. It's no problem. It's no problem. And the reason, and that's why I wanted to give you, to take it a step further, is that through Allah, you do make it to God. Because Allah is man connection to God. That reincarnation. You are God incarnated. That's Allah. That means that Allah is the connection of the physical to the spiritual. So you're looking at Allah as a bridge, but once you recognize that you are the carnal existence of that bridge, Allah is the mind that is connecting the physical you to the spiritual source. Arm, leg, arm, head. So in the physical sense, it's through Allah, the knowing of your God self, that you are able to connect to the source in Islam. So that's why I don't knock that, but just understand this. Yes, Allah is a supreme over the physical, because the mind is greater than the body. But if you keep bypassing the mind, then you are making this world your ruler. Because without the mind, you do not connect to source. Because how would you know it? How would you know it? So now if you understand that through not Jesus, through Christ, it never said through Jesus, it said through Christ. I can do all things through Christ in the Bible. And you go into this. Allah. That, hold on, it's up in here. Where I wrote it down. Hold on. Now, it says right here in verse 28, it says, how can you reject the faith in Allah, seeing that ye were without life, and he gave you life? Then will he cause you to die, and will again bring you to life, and again to him will ye return. You see what I'm saying? The connection that this spiritual consciousness, this spiritual intelligence, and that's why I say Allah and Christ is the same thing, but it's just given in two totally different manners. Christ is for those under supposedly the Gnostic Hebrew. Allah is given under the Gnostic Muslim or the Gnostic Islam. But if you don't understand Christ and Allah in the Gnostic tense, you're only going to understand Jesus and Allah in a physical form. So now you're not using your mind, you're using your brain. Allah and Jesus has been imprinted in your brain. You think you know Allah and Jesus, but in your mind, you don't know because you've bypassed it. And you've only relied on your brain, on what has been stored in it. Do you truly know? The verse is from Al-Baqarah, number 28. How can ye reject the faith in Allah, seeing that ye were without life, and he gave you life? Then will he cause you to die, and will again bring you to life, and again to him will ye return. So that if we just went in here and told you that all is mind, the universe is mental. It's through that universal intelligence that anything was created. So as you don't recognize that same universal intelligence that formed and made you is inside of you, then how would you ever know the connection and having that righteousness of Allah if you're not in aligned with the universal mind by using yours? You have to use your mind to connect to the universal mind. So through Islam and Muslim, Allah is the bridge. In Christianity, Christ is the bridge. But it's not meaning you give them an external source. Because now by giving it an external source, you're following laws and mandates that's limited in a religion, just something you practice. But that what you practice makes you good at it. That does not mean that is what you are. Hear me clearly. What you practice only makes you good at it. That does not mean that is what you are. So if you recognize this, as a man thinketh, so is he. If you think you are a Muslim because you practice the laws of the Quran, then that's all you are, a Muslim. You're nothing greater than a Muslim. If you think that you are a Christian just because you follow the laws and the mandates of the Bible, then you're nothing more than a Christian. You have no dominion. You don't see it's telling you right here. You are created in divine design to be the authority over this land. But just because you keep practicing, you don't see you have dominion. You don't see you have the authority. You're just a mere Christian and a Muslim. So that's why I say I want you to think outside the box. Take the knowledge of the Quran to lead you back to the source And just know that if you're following the Quran, you're just following mandates and limitations that it was set for you. But you are greater than that. If you're going to follow the Bible, understand you're just following laws and mandates that limits you to the religion, not to the knowledge. Because religion does not give you knowledge of self. Your belief, I'll put it like this. Your belief is not Muslim. I don't care if you practice Muslim. Your belief is not Christianity. I don't care how much you practice Christianity. Your belief is not Catholic. I don't give a damn how much you practice that. That is your belief system. That is your belief system. Meaning that is the system you use to help you believe. What you believe is what you believe. That's just the system you using to assist you in believing. Now, believing in what is the question? Believing in what? Now, once you get to that, why? Now you're using your mind when you go into the why. Because you know what you believe in, but why? Why do you believe in Christ? Why do you believe in Allah? Why do you believe in people you come in contact with? Why do you believe these books you read? Why do you believe these videos you watch? Why? You're not using your mind. Because if you know why, then you're using your mind. Because then once you know why, you'll start thinking about this differently. Now you're thinking outside the box. Once you paid attention, you paid it some mind, and you know why, you'll start thinking about it differently. Meaning the way you go about applying it would not be the same. The way it came in will not be the same way it comes out. Because your mind is connected to your personal, unique signature in this universe called your spirit. So the way that this will come out and present itself would not be the way this book is telling you. It'll come out what is directly connected for your significant, individual, and unique purpose of existence. So it would never come out the same way it came in. Because the Wizard of Oz taught them that when they get to the end of the road, they had everything. And if we look at it as within, so without, the end of the road is actually the beginning. What it says, if you've seen the beginning, you've seen the end. If you've seen the beginning, you've seen the end. You already know how people don't. That's why I said, if you're not using your mind, that's why you find yourself repeating patterns. You find yourself repeating patterns. Because if you paid it some mind, you'd know how things would end soon as it started. You would know how things would end soon as it started. That's why you have all these cliches. Mind your business. Mind. Pay me no mind. Mind. You see what I'm saying? So that's it on that. And I'm just going to bring this up just to give another dynamic. And this is coming out the Corpus Hermeticum. And when I speak this is, but mind the Father of all. And that goes back to the all is mind. The universe is mental. It says, but mind the Father of all, he who is life and light, gave birth to man, a being like himself. And he took delight in man as being his own offspring. For man was very goodly to look on, bearing the likeness of his father. With good reason, then, did God take delight in man, for it was God's own form that God took delight in. And God delivered over to man all things that had been made. I don't think y'all heard that. Hold on. And God delivered over to man all things that had been made. So if you're not using your mind, you do not know how to properly govern the creation. Think about it. If you're not using your mind because you have dominion over all of it, this is a totally different book that's telling you got dominion, being made in the image and likeness and form of the all. So now if source is mine and that same source is in you, you have the mind that is also in Christ. You have that same mind regardless whether you know it or not. And you have dominion over whatever is created in your environment. You are the authority over it. So if you're not paying it any mind, that's why you are not getting the results you're looking for, because you're not thinking outside the box, because you're not paying any mind of what's inside of it. That's why you can't think out of it. You're not paying any mind to what's in that box. And all I've been doing is showing you what's in that box. So what comes out of that box is beneficial to you. Because that's the reason why you can't think out of that box. Because the moment you think out of this box, you jump into some other box outside of that. But the way you think outside of the box is you got to pay mind to what's inside of that box so you can manifest it outside of it. And you can, that's why I say think outside of the box. You're focusing on what to put out here because it no longer affects you. That's why you think outside the box. Because you got to manifest this outside of you that is outside of yourself. So once you go in self, that's why when you go into this world, you got to think other than yourself. You don't think about yourself. You understand yourself. You don't have to think about you. You know you. You are you. You understand you. But when you don't, that's when you start thinking about yourself, and you're thinking about yourself on an external sense because obviously you don't know you. But you think you do because of what experiences you've been through. You don't know you. That's why it's hard for you to think outside of yourself because you don't know yourself. It's hard to do that. It's hard to think outside of yourself when you don't know you. But the moment you know you, you can think outside of the box. You can think outside of yourself because what you possess in that box, it's not meant for you. It was given to you to be brought into this world for everyone else. Now you see why people say selfishness. Why you think people don't like selfishness? Self-centeredness. Because when you talk about self, they're not talking about the inner. They're talking about the physical outer. So you only thinking about yourself, but you don't understand yourself because self is an inner being, not an outer being. You see the play on words and terminology? So that's why you have to think outside the box, because once you understand and pay mind to what's in that box, it no longer is for you. It's meant to be manifested in this world because what? You are a creator. And that's why you can't create, because you're not paying it any mind. You're not paying it any mind. That, and I'm going to leave you with this quote, and this is mine. That which you think you know not at all. And if somebody can put that up there, if I'm beginning to love selfishness, it's no. You know, I just, if somebody can write this down and comment it for me. Yeah, mini reading is 20. I got time for I got time to do some mini. I still got a nice charge. So yeah, if anybody want to get any personal information, just let me know once you donate it. The mini readings are 20. And I can get you in. It's no problem. Because I'm about to finish up right now anyway. The quote is, that which you think you know not at all. In other words, you think you know, but you don't. And the more people start to understand that the more you think you know, the less you know, the better off you'll be. The more you think you know, man, thank you for that gift, man. I appreciate it. People got to really get into this mind. The more you keep thinking you know everything, you keep thinking you know it all, you don't know shit. Because if you did know, it would reflect. Because knowing turns into a being. What you know manifests. Only your mind knows, not your brain. So if you think you know, moment you say you think, moment you say you think you know, you know everything, I instantly know you don't know nothing at all. You know nothing. Because for one, a person who feels that wouldn't say that. Because a person who knows that they know nothing at all. A person who knows they know nothing at all. And when you think you know it all, you don't know shit. That just confirms it. Once it comes out of your mouth, you don't know shit. You think you know. You think you know. But you know not at all. That which you think you know not at all. Oh, welcome from Indiana. Thank you for tuning in from Australia. I appreciate that. So that's why you got to start using your mind. Because your mind can process what the eyes cannot see, what the ears cannot hear, what the mouth cannot ingest, what the nose cannot smell, and what the hands cannot touch. Your brain does a lot of thinking and don't know shit for real. Your brain, your brain does a lot of thinking and it don't know shit. It's your mind. So if you want to use your brain, you keep using what all that trauma and all that shit that was stored in there, and as within, so without. Whatever you keep thinking in your brain, you're going to keep putting that shit out in the world. But the moment you use your mind, it's a different information storage. It's a different system. Now you're going into the universal intelligence. And as you go into the universal intelligence, it's going to come out different. But just know it has to come out. It has to come out. So I really do hope that was helpful. I'm going to leave this portion open for any questions, comments, or concerns as I do personal readings. So if anybody want to give me personal reading, mini reading is $20. Just let me know once you donate it. And I can also answer questions in regards to this live. So he said, very good. Man, thank you so much. I really do hope all this information was helpful, insightful, enlightening, and gave you enough information to move forward on your journey. I really do hope that was helpful. I really do hope it was helpful. Say that was incredible. My first time to listen to Quranic. Man, thank you so much. And that's why I said I was going to start using more references just to show how people, because you know a lot of people want to say, oh, you're doing the devil's work. Man, look, let's break out this box real quick. Let's break out this box, and I can give you exactly where in each one of these systems that what I'm talking about Because I pull the knowledge out of it, and I just don't live by a religious practice. I actually want to be knowledgeable, to understand and have wisdom of it. So I gotta use my mind instead of just using my brain, just storing up a lot of stuff that was taught and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I really try to use. You gotta use your mind. So that's why I got to a point to where I'm not, criticizing, and I'm not, knocking or belittling. I'm actually using my mind to understand that it is something bigger. And it's just that the average person doesn't understand that. So that's the limitations of them, their understanding. All right, cool. No problem, quality. Exactly, every person knows. Every person knows. Say many try to make sense of their reality doing so. And that's why I say it's like the only way you can make sense of your reality is understanding not what is real to you, but why it is even real to begin with. And to get to the why of anything outside of you, you got to get to the why inside of you. Got to get to the why inside of you. That's why I said if you don't know you, you damn sure don't know shit. All this other knowledge is meaningless. It's meaningless. If you don't know you, you don't know nothing. You just got random knowledge about what? That's not going to hold no precedence or sustain anything. Said Skip, I saw. Okay, what's your question, quality? What's your question? Oh, thank you so much. Let's say, Skip, I saw a lady live. She was talking about the Bible. It was man written, and they're different. All this stuff, you got to look at it. Anything in this world is man created. So we can't keep using that same. Yeah, I'm saying I got you. I just need you to put your question up there, and I can answer it for you. We got to stop using that as an excuse that this stuff is man-made. If it's in this world, everything is man-made. Everything, everything is man-made. So a man wrote that book, yes, and a man built your house. A man built your car. A man fixed your water heater. What do that mean? If you can trust a man to come in and give and fix your car, what's the difference between a man coming in and writing a book? Or people want to say this, a man wrote the Bible or a man wrote the Quran. Yeah, and also a man wrote that script to that TV show you watching. You into it just as much. So what's the problem? We got to stop using man did this and man did that as an excuse, because in actuality, man is supposed to do it. Because if man don't do it, it don't get done. So just because and instead of saying a man wrote it, just say you don't agree with what that man wrote. And then that takes it a step further, because if you don't agree with what that man wrote, you got to give an explanation of why. And if you can't give an explanation of why, you running the mouth. You running off at your mouth. That shows me you don't know, because you think you know. You only know what, you don't know why. So if you can't tell a person why, then miss me with the what. You can state a problem with no solution. Then if you can state a problem with no solution, then that shows me you're the problem. You're part of that problem. Because you know what, and you're only going to continue with the what, because you chose not to understand why. So, yep, she was saying the Bible of these days is not the first Bible. And she says spells are in the Bible is what she was getting. It's spells in the Quran. It's spells in everything. It's spells in everything. And I talked about that because people don't even know what a spell is. And the more that people keep saying it's spells and this and that and the third, they are a part of it. You're the reason why they exist, and you're the reason why they keep going on. And they think they're knocking the Bible and the Quran, but you're actually strengthening it. Because now the biggest spell that people keep saying, oh, it's a spell in the Bible. And you keep saying that, and you're making people not go to the information in the Bible or in the Quran. And it's a whole lot of esoteric knowledge that you can pull from either book. But the more you keep telling me that Quran is bad because it's about Allah, or the Bible is wrong because a man wrote, you're disdaining somebody from knowledge because you only understand the religious practice. You don't understand the why. You only know or heard about the what. Miss me for real. That's why I keep telling people, you want to tell somebody, oh, they doing the devil's work. Okay, why? Because for one, what is the devil? And if you can only tell me what something is based off of what somebody else or what something else explained it as, then you don't know why. Why is that the devil? Why? You see what I'm saying? You got to start using your mind when you got to start going into why. And a lot of people don't use their mind. That's why they can't tell you why. That's why they don't know why. And they think they know because they only know the what. But that's not the true origins. So if you don't know the origins, if you don't know the root, you don't know the fruit. If you don't know the root, you don't know the fruit. Simple as that. People right here, if you know the fruit you bear is not edible, why you not getting to the root? Because you don't want to pay it no mind. You think you know, but you only know what. You only know what you keep doing. You only know what is happening to you. You only know what. You don't know why. You don't even know why that happened. And you don't even know why you keep doing that. You're not using your mind. You think you know. You don't know. So that's why you keep bearing the same fruit. That's why you keep multiplying the same fruit that you are telling yourself that is not edible for you. And I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about sustenance of life. The sustenance of your life is not edible, but you continue to keep bearing that same fruit because you think you know, but you don't know. Because you don't even know why. You keep digesting that non-edible substance that you keep manifesting in life called experience. Every experience you had in life, you still creating the same experience and don't know why. That's because you're not thinking outside the box, because you have yet to pay mind to what's inside of it. And you wonder why it's a ceiling. You are the ceiling. So if your life, and I gotta put it to you 1,000. If your life is the way it is, thank yourself. Give thanks to you that your life is the way it is.